good day to you, each my beautiful and wonderful people, on this wonderful Wednesday. This is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. It's your favorite girl, Simply Michelle, the host with the most. And I have an incredible episode lined up today. But first, head on over to Amazon and purchase your copy of one of my books, Journaling the Journey with Jesus, Love, a Misconstrued Word, Created on Purpose for a Purpose, and Dear Diary. Now, do me a solid and hit that follow button and be sure to tell me what you think of today's episode. Now, without further ado, let's dive into today's episode, tailor-made for you. Okay, you guys, today I want to take a little snippet from my book, Love, a Misconstrued Word. So let's talk about it. I remember as a little girl, my father used to take his suits to this tailor shop to have his suits altered to fit him in like a specific way. Now, in order for my father to keep going back to this one specific tailor, a relationship, a rapport, if you will, of trust had to be built. Okay. My father was familiar with the work of the tailor and knew that the tailor would make decisions on the alterations according to what was best, even if it went against what my father desired. I want you guys to stay with me and catch everything that I'm saying to you. The tailor would start out by taking my father's measurements to ensure there would be no assumptions or mistakes in the alteration. Now, it didn't matter how many times my father would basically go to this guy, you know what I mean? Things could change in between the visits. So he always made for sure that he took my father's measurements. Now, once all of that was done, the tailor would basically give my dad a ticket and would tell him exactly when to come and pick up his suits. Now, my father is a man of order. If you tell him a specific time, you better believe my father gonna be on it because he values his time. For example, if the tailor tells my father to pick up his suits at 11 a.m. on Saturday, my father was going to be there at 10:45 a.m. on a Saturday. He didn't have to call the tailor to confirm. He didn't have to second guess what the tailor had told him. My father just showed up when he was supposed to, and he didn't have to wait for what he came for because the tailor had already done his part and had it ready and waiting for my father. Now, my father and the tailor had built such a relationship to where my father didn't have to try on the suit to ensure that the tailor did everything right. He trusted what the tailor had done to his suit. And when he puts that suit on, it was going to fit him exactly how it should. So now let's kind of jump ahead a little bit, just a little bit. I have a 23-year-old son. Okay. Now my son and my father wear the same size in clothing. Okay. If my son was to go to his pawpaw and take one of his suits and put it on, it'll fit. You know what I mean? Because again, my father and my son wear the same size. However, it will not fit them the exact same because even though they wear the same size, they are not the exact same. They are built differently. Like, for example, my son, Jalen, he has broad shoulders and he's maybe 6'3", and he's more so of an athletic build. Whereas my father, is the average built man, and he's not as tall and broad as Jalen is, okay? But they wear the same size. I need y'all to catch what I'm saying. See, Jalen can put the suit on and it will fit, and many will be able to look at it and look at him and say, that looks good. They won't see anything wrong with it. But when my father put the same suit on, you can see almost immediately how well the suit fits my father. And that's because the tailor altered the suit according to the measurements of my father and not Jalen. The suit was tailor-made specifically to fit my father a certain way. And that suit will not hang on Jalen the way that it was designed to hang on my father. What separates my father and my son are their measurements. Now, before the alterations were made, Jalen and anyone else would have been able to fit that suit, and it would have been okay. But now that the suit has been tailor-made intentionally for the build of my father, regardless of if he and Jalen is the exact same size, Jalen's not going to look the same in that suit as my father looks in it. Now, I know that we hear the cliche all the time, what God has for you is for you. As a matter of fact, there's a song out that says that what God has for me is for me. I know without a doubt that he would bring me out. What God has for me is for me. There is a song that says that, and it's definitely true. What is intentionally done by the tailor cannot be given, my fault, to anyone else. It's kind of like, how designers will design a specific piece, like, a dress or something, like a one-of-a-kind type deal. You know what I mean? It'll never be duplicated. It'll never be made again for no one else. That's exactly what this is. And this is exactly what God does, because you are an original and you will never be able to be duplicated. What God has for your life was meant specifically for you. And there is no one, not even the devil in hell, that can take that away from you. God has already specifically appointed the blessings and the favor for you. So let's say you want to start a business and you have to find a building. And what you find is, okay, this is the one. This is the exact one I got to have. It has God written all over it. But what you find is you don't have the money. But without a doubt, this is the building for you. And you may say, well, you know what, Michelle, the building is empty right now. And I don't have the money to purchase the building or put down on the building. It's a good price. I can afford it. You know what I mean? If I don't get this right now, this would be a steal for somebody else. But if that building is for you, it doesn't matter if you have the money right now or not, because God will ensure you will have exactly that building. I have to tell myself at times when I, start to grow weary that if it's God's will, it's God's bill. Because only the enemy will have you rushing into things and doing things and telling you that if you don't move right now, you're going to miss the opportunity. The enemy would try to get you in your feelings like, did God really say that this was for me? Did God really say this is the move I'm supposed to be making? That's his job. But you have to know that what's for you is for you. Whether that building sit empty until God send the resources for you to purchase the building, or whether somebody occupies the building and then when it's your appointed time to walk in that building's going to be empty. What God has for you, it is for you. If you are wanting a spouse and you have this knowing that you meet somebody and you like, this is the one. This has to be the one. I don't care what it looks like. Yeah, I mean, they may be out here, being rebellious. They may have ghosted you. They may be out here dating and committing to other people. I know what it looks like. And that is exactly what the enemy wants you to see. But you have no idea what God is doing in the background of that situation. What God has for you, it is for you. Well, you tell me, I've been praying and fasting and everything else because I want to have children and it hasn't come yet. If children are in alignment with the will of God, it doesn't matter what the doctors say. It doesn't matter the time frame that you're looking at. When the time is right, the Lord is going to make it happen. Go read about Sarah. You know what I mean? And I'm sure she can tell you that having a baby at 90 years old was not in her plan. But God's will still prevailed. This is why, y'all, it is so very important that we seek God first in all things and have that upstanding and solid relationship with him. It's important that we seek and desire only the things that God has for us, because God knows what is best for us and he knows how the story ends. What we desire cannot compare to the things that God wants to give to us. We ask God for just enough strength to get through one specific thing. But God will give us strength to help others while we are enduring what we are enduring, and the strength to overcome other things as well. We think too small when it comes to God. We only see and trust our ways. We only see and trust our resources, our finances. We never consider the bigger picture, which is what God can truly do. That takes us right on back to my previous episode, Oh Ye of Little Faith, when we talk about having to relinquish full control to let God be God in our lives. It's easy to trust God when we can see at least a little bit of what's going on. But can we trust him when we see absolutely nothing working for us? We can say we trust God, but in reality, we only trust God with what we want to trust him with. It's kind of like, how you hear people say, I only trust you as far as I can see you. And that's how we treat God. What God has for you has been tailor-made specifically for you. If someone tries to take something that has your name engraved on it, it may seem cool and it may look good. Oh, but the hell that they will have to go through until they release what was stolen. But you have to remain steadfast with God. And you have to know what you know. 1 Corinthians 15:58 tells us in the easy version, so you must continue to be strong in your spirit and do not let anything move you away from your faith. Continue to work hard as you serve the Lord. You know that whatever you do for him will not be useless. If God put a yes to whatever it was that you have petitioned him for, then all you need to do is put the exclamation on it, because you understand that if he said it, he is obligated to do it. My pastor always says that God's reputation is at stake, and is. That would make God a liar if he did not do what he said he would do. If God told you something specifically, understand he's in the background waiting for the appointed time. He knows when we're ready for it. He knows when we're not ready for it. He's not going to give us the best of the best, y'all, for us to sabotage it, for us to mess it up, for us to only temporarily have it. When God gives us the best of the best, it's for us to be able to sustain it. But what's for you is exactly for you. Can't nobody take it away from it. That's like going to, the bank. Let's say you get a check in the mail and your sibling got the mail before you. And when you take that check, when your sibling take that check to the bank and try to cash it, y'all got the same last name. But the bank will let them know this check is not made out to you. This check has somebody else's name on it. But the sibling insists, no, this is my money. This we have the same last name. Somebody messed it up in the system. This is my check. The bank will continue to let them know, I'm sorry. I know that has your last name on it, but that first name does not match. I cannot cash this check and place it in your account because this check does not belong to you. There is no way your sibling can cash your check if it has your name on it. And that is the same way with the favor and the blessings that God has in store for you. Don't let the enemy keep you focused on what you see taking place right now. Keep your eyes focused on what God has already told you. Like I said, if he said yes, if God said yes, if God said, this is my desire for you, put an exclamation point on it. That means put a praise on it. Thanking for it before it even gets here. Walk as though you already have it, because you understand that if he said yes to you, he can't promise that to somebody else. Because that's your blessing. That's your promise. God ain't going to do us like that, y'all. That's like dangling a carrot in front of us and say, this is what I have for you, and then don't give it to you. And say, my bad, wrong person. That's not that's not who I serve anyway. And if it's in line with the desires of God, God gave us that desire. That means if he gave it to us, he plans on fulfilling it. Stick with him. Stand on what try him at his word. He tells us that in the book of Malachi. Try me and see, won't I open a window of heaven and pour out a blessing big enough that you won't even have room. That's what he said. Yes, I know it's talking about tithes. But when we try God, that means we're believing God. We're walking in faith. We're standing on what he said, no matter what somebody else said, no matter what the situation looked like, no matter how many darts the enemy tries to throw. We're going to stand on exactly what he said. And sometimes we're going to look crazy to a bunch of people, and that's okay, because it's only crazy until it happens. All I'm saying is, at this point, count it pure joy, because you can look at it as, if the enemy is trying to get me to focus on something else, then that only means that God is going to do exactly what he said he's going to do. So yes, we do. We count it all joy. Name it and claim it. Because one thing is for sure, the tailor has intentionally made your blessing especially for you. Well, you guys, that concludes today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. I truly hope you found encouragement, motivation, guidance, and inspiration to live a life aligned with your true purpose. Again, I am your favorite girl, Simply Michelle, the host with the most. Don't forget to tune in each Wednesday morning on your commute to work. And remember, you are unique and there's a purpose waiting to be fulfilled within you. Don't let it go unnoticed or unexplored. Now you go have a great day on purpose. See you next time.